and different stuff put in there. That's why Davis is my saving grace.
Trying to make you unique.
I know. Don't know why they did that to me.
Yeah. My mom's name gets spelled wrong. And it's just Cammy, but C-A-M-I, so C-A-M-M-Y-K-A.
Yep.
So I gotta ask, what's your husband's name?
His last name is Lofton, which is not particularly difficult, but people do the I or the E or the O. It's O-N. We just got married in February, and I just did not make the switch. Got married and went straight into quarantine.
I get to balance small a lot with Devin.
Yep.
Does Devon. I went to a summer camp one time, so Y-N and A-N. And me is an I-N.
It's a name like Megan that nobody spells it the same. There's so many variations.
No sense.
Like, I think I got everybody on my list as attending the meeting.
We remote.
Can we change,
Mr. Del Porto in here now?
do we want to change it from speaker view to the group or?
Yeah.
Perfect.
All right. Everybody introduce themselves.
Yes, sir.
Everybody has? I'm sorry, I've forgotten your name, but you're the appraiser, I think, if I remember right.
Yes, sir. Jim Wardigger.
Jim. Okay.
And Bob's back again.
And Bob's back.
Hopefully just for moral support.
All right. Let's go ahead and convene this proceeding this afternoon. Let's get started by swearing witnesses. Are you going to handle that remotely, Doug?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Mr. Cross, you have one online and one present.
Let's see, I have one online. Mayor Desai is the appraiser type for us.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
If you'll raise your right hand, Mayor, and
Please raise your right hand and
And then
repeat
we'll
after me. I state your name,
I, Mayor Desai,
swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
swear to tell the truth.
the whole truth, nothing but the truth.
Sure, yeah. We can start with that.
Okay. I think we've taken care of all the formalities. Mr. Cross, welcome back. And you can get started with your presentation.
You want to address?
Oh, I do need to address. For full transparency and disclosure, I have a friend who is the owner or has ownership in several of these hotels, Mr. Andy Patel, who contacted me in a friendly manner, wanted to remind me that we had this hearing and so on and so forth, as friends will do from time to time. Certainly had a conversation with him that he is faceless when I have to sit in this seat, and his our friendship has no bearing on this process. So I simply want to make everyone aware of it here. I don't believe it will create any problem for me in remaining impartial and making a good decision as the county judge of Pulaski County. But I offer, if anyone has an objection, I'll recognize that, and we'll take the actions to have myself recused and replaced. Is there any objection?
Not from us, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right, great. Mr. Cross, let's go ahead and get started.
Your Honor, Megan and I, Ms. Davis, we discussed yesterday, we have we have exactly 13 cases set for today. The issue to be decided in each of the cases is, so far as I'm aware, and I think Ms. Davis agrees, the same. It has to do with removing the value of the intangible personal property, principally the hotel franchise value from these 13 properties. We thought, rather than doing 13 separate short hearings, we would sort of pick one as a sample and argue out the concept that we feel is being violated and needs to be redressed for all 13. And then as I remember last year, you asked, and I've forgotten how much time you gave us, but you wanted either a short 2 or 3 page, maybe it was 5-page summary on each of the cases afterwards. There were only 4 last year. There are a few more this year.
And I mean, we're in agreement on that. It really is the same core issue in all of these. So just in the sake of efficiency, we're both willing to do it all at once.
And I understand that, and hopefully I'll remember to remind you at the end of this proceeding, Mr. Cross. Usually I'll defer my judgment and give you all each 10 days or 2 weeks to render a 1-page document, a 1-page document, giving your explanation and making your case and adding any points that you may have, forgot to make in the process. We'll record those, and within 2 weeks of that date, I will make a decision and get it out to you.
Thank you, Your Honor. That's making a lawyer stick to 1 page is cruel and unusual.
Well, Mr. Cross, I'll tell you, there's probably a reason why I'm not an attorney, because it probably took me about 2 years of doing this job before I realized, hell, I need to put some parameters on this.
And he already warned me I can't use a very small font. I can't do it that way. So
yeah, there's negative points for using a tiny font.
Well, I have to. I'm at that point in life where I have to have a slightly larger font, or it just looks like gray on the page. So, so with that, the central argument we have here is that in Arkansas, by Constitution and by statute, a real property ad valorem tax may not be rendered against intangible personal property. That is not so uncommon among the states, but it's the law here in Arkansas. I doubt if there's any particular controversy along those lines. The statute is Arkansas 26-3-302. And then there's another issue coming up, and I don't intend to belabor the appraisal parts of this out particularly, but there is something I do want to note, and that is there's a difference in this proceeding than in most administrative hearings. Generally, in an administrative hearing, the board or commission that makes a decision, its decision has a presumption of correctness. By statute in Arkansas, there is no presumption of correctness with regard to the appraisal by the Pulaski County tax appraiser, excuse me. So in other words, it starts off at an even keel. And I do have a case that I intend to present. I became aware of it yesterday after the 24-hour, but it is a law case. It is not an item of evidence to be considered. A Florida case that I'll talk about. It was not decided until August 7th of 2020, which essentially agrees with the position we've taken, and that is that the means of appraisal is not sufficient to take out that intangible personal property. I won't go into the technical sides of things particularly, but mostly because I'm really not able to do so. The two appraisers can both adequately answer questions and so forth. We have the Pulaski County, through Ms. Davis, presented a document. The concept we're talking about is called the Rushmore approach. It is an old and we think a now outmoded means of dealing with the issue of intangible personal property. It is, at least in Florida recently, it rejected. It has never been accepted in the state of Arkansas. So it has a logic behind it. But I believe it is old and outmoded. It is no longer the standard means of appraisal. Regardless of that, in Arkansas at least, there has to be some indication, some way that the indisputable intangible value of these properties is removed from the value of the hotel. I'll give you the 5,000 foot view approach of our problem with the Rushmore means of getting it. If you actually use the Rushmore approach, you will at best extract the bare cost of the franchise and management issues. This belies the logic of value, because any standard business person is not going to buy an asset that produces no value. In other words, if it's cost, if it produces revenue that's exactly as much as its cost, why would you expend or have capital tied up in something that essentially produces no value? At least a part of the Rushmore issue is concern for what happens if you take the intangible value out of hotel properties. And while he may have a point for bank valuations, he does not for real property ad valorem tax purposes, because in Arkansas, by statute, whether you agree with it or not, intangible personal property is not to be taxed. Now, I think at this point we need to. It's sort of time for me to be quiet, let Ms. Davis have her say, and then I guess you will put on your case.
Typically, with the petitioner having the burden of proof, we've had the petitioner present their case first.
And
Okay.
that's typical. And so if you're ready to proceed, you can proceed.
Okay. Mayor, would you, just as a sample judge, and I think you have in front of you the files and petitions for these things, we're just going to be looking at the paperwork with regard to CI 20-27, which is Human, and I guess for the court's comfort, it's not one that's owned by Mr. Patel, I believe. And what we'll talk about is why we think the appropriate value is what it is. I think, Mayor, if you would sort of, I'm trying to decide whether I'd like to ask the assessor's gentleman there a few questions first. Let me do that. Sorry for being undecided.
Mr. Cross, we're all pretty somewhat familiar with this new approach in Arkansas, and so you move forward with your case to whatever detail you feel is necessary or not necessary. And I'm going to tell you to make yourself happy in this.
Okay, thank you very much. And I appreciate you saying that, Judge, because I really just have a couple of questions. Jim, do you have that, the appraisal card in front of you?
Yes.
Okay, 27. And Judge Hyde, do you have it in front of you as well?
Yeah, I have I think I have it here. I have the. Yep, got it.
I think it's easier for everybody just to look at the piece of paper than to try to put it on the screen, because those things never works out that great. Jim, right. My understanding is that this card is the entire basis for Pulaski County's valuation.
Well, are you referring to the income? I'm not sure when you say this card. This is showing the cost, property record card.
Yeah, what I have is a picture of the deal, then I have the property record card, says commercial property card, with the parcel number, and then a second page, and then down below, there's a screenshot.
That probably is the income value. That would be the income valuation that I used to value it, yes.
Okay, and is this the only thing, this comprises everything you use to make your appraisal of this hotel?
He's referring to your presentation. I'm sorry. We had the property card just itself out and not a presentation from the assessor. So I understand what you mean now by screenshot.
Yes.
Okay, so the answer to my question is yes, that basically all the information you use is on that card.
Right.
Okay. Is there, and the only deduction I see on there is 226,818. That's just on this particular one. And my understanding from reading the comments below is that's a deduction for business personal property.
That's right.
Okay. And otherwise, there's no other information that you use other than what's on these cards and this screenshot.
Yes.
Okay. So I thank you very much for your testimony. Ms. Davis, do you have any cross-examination or?
No, we'll get to, I'll talk to him when we get to my part. I'm good for now.
Okay,
Thank you.
that's fine. Mayor, what
Yes.
I'd like you to do is to explain to the judge why you feel that our evaluation of this property is more accurate
Okay.
than the property assessor.
Okay. If you could turn to the industry income model, which
I'm very sorry to interrupt. Just for a point of, is your witness a property owner, an appraiser? I'm trying to figure out his.
He's an appraiser with.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you.
Go ahead. Sorry, I'm sorry. I should have introduced him to begin with. Mayor, please.
sorry about that. Yeah. So if you could turn the page to this page, the industry income model, which is the analysis for the La Quinta.
And just to make it easy, that's what's attached to the original BOE appeal.
Yes.
At the top of the page, it says executive summary.
No, it says the industry income model. It says the income.
How about a page number?
Analysis. It doesn't have a page number. It's with the analysis. It was the first thing that we appealed.
All right, bear with us.
No problem.
Income analysis, industry income model.
That's correct.
Okay.
Okay, so the room revenue for the hotel was $1,064,000, and we used the industry model based on CBRE in the HVS and the SDR. We used the total expense to be 73%, which brings the expense rate to 700,000, about 750,000, and then we added 2% of the reserves for the property, which is 21,000. So brings the NOI to 261,000. And based on the Arkansas region, and based on CBRE and PwC, we have the 8.75 cap rate. And now and then we deducted 25% of the intangible value. Now that 25% is calculated if you look at page 66 on the appraisal report.
Okay, that's the slick color glossy one, right?
Yep.
Page 56.
66.
All right, page 66.
Yes, sir. Now, if you see the bottom, the columns, the left column is the capitalization management fee, which is the Rushmore approach. and the right column is the actual BEV that we used for this approach for taking out the BEV. Now the Rushmore approach in total takes out 11.05% of the BEV, whereas the way that we calculated it shows the subject with net income, which is the branded, so with flag hotels, and the net income non-branded, and that's the percent decrease in the revenue with the branded and the non-branded, which is the business intangible value that's based on the rev part per hotel. And that is the 25% that we are deducting in the analysis. And no investor would franchise their hotels to get the return of their investment. They would do so to earn a profit. And in simple terms, why would the investor buy a franchise to have a net zero gain? And that's the issue that we're facing here. Thank you.
Okay. Did you have a question on that?
What's the basis to, that's a question they can ask.
I think this, okay. All right.
I have a couple questions. And you'll have to forgive me because I am not an appraisal, so I do get confused on some of this stuff.
No.
So in the petition for this particular property, we're looking at, y'all are asserting a value of around 1 million. And then we're asserting 25% to business intangible. So my question is, with that calculation, we're saying of that $1 million value, 75% of that is attributable to the property and the improvement?
I'm sorry, I'm not getting what you're looking at.
I'm trying to, I guess what I'm trying to understand is the percentage that we're attributing to the property and the improvement, because we're taking out that business intangible.
No, that's actually 25% is
Okay.
for the intangible. So you're referring to this, which is the actual P&L model, which
Okay.
is the $1 million and 95,000. And
Okay.
I think that because the P&L is too high, it's not it's not fair to be that low. So I think the industry model, it gives you can't really say you can't really reward bad management, and that's what we're using.
Okay, could you,
to be fair and equal.
could you help me out with the 25% that you're deducting for business intangible? Can you kind of break down what goes into that and what you're accounting for with that 25%, where that 25% comes from?
Yes. So if you're looking at if you're looking at a branded hotel, which is with the flag, not the mom and pop motel, the net income for this property is 385,417 based on the appraisal report, and the non-branded would be 282,000. So on page 66, it shows you the percent. That's the difference in the revenue. And that's how we get that 26.8%, which is rounded to 25% of the business.
Do you think that branded and non-branded hotels offer different amenities within the hotel that might have an effect on that rental rate?
Yes, and it's franchise as well. So you have to pay a certain amount of franchise fee to have the amenities and to have the class that non-branded hotels don't have.
I think that's all my questions.
Mayor, is that pretty much essentially what you're trying to do is to arrive at the part of the hotel's value that is a part of the intangible, in other words, that advantageous contract right, as opposed to just the bricks and mortar of the building?
Right. Sort of the going with the Florida case, they tell you that by taking out a percentage of businesses' net income for management and franchise without taking out the intangible value from the gross stream,
Good.
value of
Mayor, I think you're cutting out on us.
While we wait for those technical issues, JB, could you give me the citation for that Florida case?
Sure,
It wasn't cited, so I haven't had an opportunity to review
Right,
it.
you haven't got, I got this off of LexisNexis. So let me read you what's on here. It's a 2020 Florida app, Lexus 11180. And then and this is the hard part because, there you are, Megan. What I had was sort of a newspaper report. The actual case name is Singe, SINGH versus Walt Disney Parks and Resorts USA.
Okay, thank you.
Like I said, that's LexisNexis. I don't know how in the world you'd find it on Westlaw.
I'll figure it out, or I'll try to anyway. Thank you. That should get me close enough.
Mayor, I think the last part of what you were talking about got cut off. So
I'm sorry about that. Well, I was just stating that by taking out 1% of the net income for management and franchise does not take out the intangible value that comes with the flag. That's what the Rushmore approach is it just takes out the management and the franchise. It doesn't take out the entire RevPAR difference that comes with the flag.
okay. Thank you very much. That's and just for the record's sake, essentially your explanation on this case, which is 2027, would be the same as all the other numbered cases we have set for today. I can.
Yes, sir.
Need to read those off, but it's well, just for purposes of the record, it's 27, 28, 29, 30, 31. Then a jump 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49. I think that's it.
And 50.
Apparently somebody else was filing cases the same afternoon I was.
Well, we'll make sure 50's in there too, so.
Yes, 50's in there as
50,
well.
yeah, thank you very much.
Yes.
Megan, I think that's done, except I guess for a little bit of legal argument.
Okay, well, Frank, if you could pull up our presentation, I will get started. Jim, if you just want to introduce yourself, tell us who you are and your qualifications and where you work, and then we'll get into the presentation.
I'm Jim Ortiguera, and I'm a senior analyst with the assessor's office.
And then this is the presentation that everyone should have a copy of, but we've got it up on the screen to make it a little easier. And Jim, take over when you're ready.
Okay, this is the La Quinta at 9 Crossing, Oregon, Little Rock. And originally, the value on this was $4,169,600, which is the value that I said in the 2017 reappraisal. After this was appealed to the Board of Equalization this year, looking at the income information that was provided to me, I changed the vacancy on this from 45% to 50% and lowered the value to $3,769,900.
That number one more time, the adjusted value.
$3,769,900.
Do you want to talk a little bit about, we've talked a lot about business intangible value. Do you want to talk about how your appraisal takes that in consideration and how the assessor works through that process?
Well, like was referenced earlier, we recognize the franchise fee as an expense. And in doing so, that covers that, and the management fee, that covers the business value. And then at the end, we deduct whatever is turned in on their business personal property account from the value. So we take out any furniture, fixtures, that sort of thing.
And how does taking out, and just because I don't always know how all this stuff works, taking out the personal property, how does that play into the business intangible?
Well, that's all their personal property stuff. That's not the real estate.
Okay.
So,
Okay, and so they have a deduction of 25% for the business intangible. Do you think that is too much? And can you talk about that a little bit?
well, I mean, yeah, I definitely think it's too much.
Part of how they come to that is the branded versus non-branded and those differences in rent.
Well, one thing on the branded versus non-branded is you're going to have franchise fees. And franchise fees are going to be higher for a better brand. So that's, one of the differences, I think.
Okay. And how does the 25% addition of the business or deduction of the business intangible, what effect does that have on their property value?
That would lower it.
Okay. Do you think it lowers it a reasonable amount?
I would say an unreasonable amount.
And we heard some talk about the Rushmore approach versus this business enterprise approach. Can you talk about the Rushmore approach and your opinion of its accuracy?
Well, like I said, it says that taking out the franchise fees and the management fees is sufficient for taking out the business value. I don't know if I really can think of anything else on it. Do you have any?
Okay. Do you have any more information to add on your support of the approach that the assessor's office is taking with the business expenses? And the document I'm handing him is the document, the article I sent out to everyone is a piece of the evidence that is the article written by Stephen Rushmore. In my other look up.
I think I have it open.
And Jim, there's a highlighted portion of that. It's in the second to last paragraph. Will you read that for us?
Megan, where on is it the second last paragraph on the first page?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thanks. Sorry, didn't mean to
No,
interrupt.
you're fine.
He says during his 30-year career as a hotel appraiser and investor, he's worked with thousands of hotel owners, operators, and lenders. He does not know of any industry participant who utilizes the procedures set forth in the business enterprise approach for evaluating a hotel acquisition or determining market value for purchase or financing. It appears that the business enterprise approach is simply an academically contrived procedure used for the sole purpose of lowering property tax assessments for hotel owners.
And I would just submit to the court, this article provides a good side-by-side comparison of the two approaches. Jim, do you have anything else you want to share?
No.
Guess I'll pass the witness.
Thanks, Megan. Jim, can you tell me offhand when this article was written? I believe it indicates it was written about the year 2000. Because he apparently lost a case in New Jersey, and that's kind of what he's defending is that.
Yeah, I'm not sure when this was written.
Okay. Well,
I don't see a date on here.
And I can find that date. My apologies for not having that on there.
no, if you can't find it offhand, don't waste time looking for let's look at that paragraph that you read, because actually that's something I think that is important. He's talking about using this valuation for acquisition or for purchase or for financing. Isn't that correct? Jim, if you'll look at the middle of the paragraph that you that you read.
He's just saying he's for determining a market value for purchase of financing.
Okay, that's correct. That's the fourth line. But that's not actually what we're here doing today, or is it? We're here determining what Arkansas allows for ad valorem real property taxes, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and in Arkansas, we have to deduct the intangible, the value of the intangible personal property, correct?
That's right.
Okay. So if his complaint is that this valuation deducts the intangible personal property tax, it has, in other words, it sort of goes together with what he says below, that this is a way for dealing with personal property, real property tax rather than hotel acquisition. But after all, we're not talking about hotel acquisition right now. We're talking about property tax, correct?
That's right. We're talking about market value though.
Okay.
Market value is market value.
If I might add, wait.
If y'all are okay with Bob adding, I'm okay with Bob adding, but it is a bit out of order, so.
What happened?
Bob wanted to make a comment. I'm fine with that if you're fine with that, but I do understand it's out of order if you don't want that right now.
I'm just about finished, and then I guess we'll let him back, because I think it's okay. We've been fairly informal here. I don't see any reason why not to do that. Oh, yeah, and this Rushmore approach, this was written by Mr. Rushmore himself?
Yes.
Okay. Now, let's look at page 11 of that article that you have. That's a pretty detailed breakdown, isn't it?
Yes.
And it's similar to the, in fact, there's a direct side-by-side comparison on page 14. Now, if you'll look at your supplemental exhibit, and I know we've had a little confusion, but it's the thing we just had on the screen a moment ago that has the two real property cards and then the screenshot. You have that in front of you, Jim?
Yes.
Okay. Can you tell me how you get from that screenshot to the analysis shown on page 11 of the Rushmore approach?
Well, it looks like he's following what we did. You start off with a room rate, then vacancy, then you've got your expenses. So he's down to there, and the only thing he hasn't done is he hasn't capitalized it yet.
Well, I can see what's on his sheet. I'm really wondering how you get from the information that's on your screenshot to make the analysis that he spent several pages doing here.
Well, he's got the expenses broke down. We've got them as a lump, 70%. Well, actually 5% management and 65% operating expenses. We don't have them itemized. It's all in one lump sum.
So you can't today tell the judge what part of that represents management fee, what part of that represents franchise fee?
5% represents management fee.
Okay, what part represents the franchise fee?
It's not a standard number. It's included in there though. That's 70% is a typical expense ratio for hotels.
So you don't know what the franchise fee is then?
The exact franchise fee for
Well,
this hotel? No, I don't.
okay. I think that's all the questions I have. Thank you.
And I just have one question on redirect is talked about the, statute requires intangible business to be deducted. Do you think y'all's approach and how you deduct these franchise fees and management fees adequately does that?
I'm sorry, say that one more time.
We've talked about the statute that doesn't allow for Arkansas to take into consideration the business. Well, now I've got myself talking all out of order. I'll just withdraw my question and we'll end. And then if it's okay, I would like to allow Bob to make his statement or whatever comment you have now.
Yeah, I was thinking that'd be the next thing, so. Bob?
The only point I was going to make was when a fee appraiser performs an appraisal to give the bank a market value for the real estate, that's exactly what he's giving the bank. He's given a value based on the market conditions and the conditions of that subject property for them to make a business decision to loan money on real estate. They do not include any intangible or business or personal property value. And if, appraisal is a funny thing in that in different areas, different pockets, different markets of the country, the appraisals can be performed a little bit differently. In the 20 years that I've been here, the 24 years maybe that Jim's been here, we've reviewed dozens of hotel appraisals. I have never seen an appraisal performed by a fee appraiser that didn't just recognize the franchise fee, is taking care of the business intangible value.
May I ask a question or two? Bob, at best, if the information you guys have allowed you to take out the franchise fee, all you would do is deduct the actual cost of it, correct?
Yes.
Why would someone buy an asset if that asset produced no value to them?
It does produce value.
Not if it produces a net zero and that's the only credit you're allowing.
Well, you've got to remember that what you're removing is also capitalized. So if you've got a fee that's a certain level, but if you leave that fee in the value, that fee is capitalized. So it's not like they spend 80,000 or 20,000 or whatever it might be, and that's the value of it. If you leave that fee in if you don't add that fee into the expenses, that's an amount that you're capitalizing. So there is a difference in the fee, and the worth of the fee is, if that's money that's capitalized to indicate a value.
But don't you think that they ought to be given credit for both the amount that they pay and the value it adds, the capitalized value?
Amount they paid, capitalized value.
But I want it clear that the only thing that you're willing to give credit for is not the value of the franchise, it's the cost.
They're equal.
Okay, no further questions.
I'm sorry, they're not equal. By removing the cost of the franchise, you're also removing that value, that added value. So it's not an equal amount. The cost of the fee and the value of the fee are two different things.
But in Arkansas, we have to remove the value of the intangible property, and you're only removing the cost of the franchise fee.
We're removing the value. So then,
Thank you. That's all I got.
That's it for me too.
Okay, both of you are finished.
Yes, Your Honor. Well, and
Okay.
these apply, of course, to all of them, but I think that everybody here understands that.
And I think I understand it too. So as I stated earlier, I'll take this case under advisement and give you an answer, a ruling on the case within 4 weeks. And I'm allowing 2 weeks for you to submit a one-page written document, if you so choose, to provide additional explanation or other points or whatever you think is relevant that may be important that to this case that hasn't been presented or maybe didn't come across. Any questions to that?
I think I understand that's also where I thought we would put the individual hotel values and that sort of thing, just on that one sheet, make it easier there. And I thank you guys for doing this by Zoom. I'm unfortunately in that class of persons who is high risk. And so I appreciate the opportunity to still make a living and still not have to, I'd be honest, I'd really rather be down there in the room with the rest of y'all. But I think this has gone okay so far. So I'm happy with everything.
Well, thank you for that. And hopefully we won't have to do this again in the future. And 2020 is certainly an upside down kind of a year. And I am eager for it to cease, be done and over with and part of history for many reasons. But thank you for cooperating, because I realize it puts some extra strain and pressure on you and your client and your witness as well. And so if there's nothing else that anyone wants placed in the record, we'll adjourn and thank you all for cooperating with our kind of strained setting here, but I think that we've gotten everything out and I appreciate your help and cooperation. We're adjourned.
Thank you, everybody. Enjoy the holiday.
Thank you.
Thanks.